So actually integrating with Firebase and integrating with GitHub aside, the sign-up flow is kind of complicated. So here's what happens. When we first go to this thing, having not signed in, it's going to have to decide, based on the fact that we're not signed in, to show us only the sign-in button, right? And hide everything else. Then if sign-in works, it's going to decide to show us the other stuff. And probably do some other things too. So let's see if we can tackle just that much, not worrying about the fact that we don't actually have a real method for signing in. Let's make a fake one just to see if we can get the hiding and showing working. Sound good? What was the lab? Do you remember? What was the lab we did over the break this morning? Yeah, I remember the database rules. Okay. Okay. So when we are signed in, what do we want to hide out of those things in the JSX? When we are signed in, what do we want to hide? The sign-in, right? So let's just make a method on app called signed in. If right now, I'm just going to return true. We're always signed in. Now let's make that hide and show things appropriately. The other day, Seth showed us how to do that in JSX using a ternary, right? So if signed in, all this stuff, else this thing, right? So all three of these things together should render if the thing is true. So we could handle this a couple ways. We could make that a separate component, which is probably the best solution. We could just put it out to a render method real quick. I'll do it that way for now. So here's what I mean. If you think a whole nother component is overkill, I'll just make another method on this component called render main or something, because that's the main stuff that you want to see when you're signed in, right? It's the meat of the app. And that is the sign out button, the add thing button, and the ThingList button. All stuff that you shouldn't see unless you are signed in. So this will just return those things. Now that's not quite good enough, right? Because they have to be contained in a single component, right? You can only return one component. So we need to put a div around them. Keep our proper indentation. Notice the error. Actions is not defined on line 65 because we made actions, this actions object down here in render. It doesn't belong in render anymore. It belongs here inside render main. I did the, yeah, okay. Well, good. We're only showing that. But we want it so that we are signed in, right? So we need to put that ternary in here. So help me out. What do I put down here in my JSX? If we're signed in, I want to show the stuff that's in render main. Otherwise, I want to show this sign-in component. Does that make sense why we're trying to do that? To put some JavaScript in the middle of our JSX, we're going to need to use a set of curly braces, right? Now, what's our condition? What's our if? It's this new method we made called signed in, right? So this dot signed in, question mark, right? What comes next? This dot render main. Else, this sign in button, right? So here I see sign out, add thing, and my things. I do not see the sign in button. If I change my sign in method so that it returns false all the time, those go away. Oh, no, no. Oh, life's bad. Didn't work. What do we do? This, oh, haha. Signed in is a method. It's not undefined, so that's going to be truthy every time. So let's try this again. Save that. Right now, signed in always returns false, so I only see the sign in button. Change it so that signed in always returns true. And we see everything but the sign in button. Make sense? So far, nothing that we can't handle. Let's say add placeholder signed in method.